Hello, everyone. Welcome to Success Stories Talk Show, Season 2, presented by Trident Communications in association with World Humanitarian Foundation. I'm Alka, your host for today, and our guest for today is Mr. Amit Baid. He is an Indian theatre, television, and film actor. Over the last 25 years, he has worked in performing arts, radio, theatre, television, and film. And I'm pretty sure you have seen him in a lot of daily soaps and movies as well. So let's talk about his journey of success now that he's here with us on our show today. So hello Amitji, how are you?
I'm good. And thank you for making me a part of this show and inviting me. And it's an honor to share this platform with Trident and with you people. So you can shoot and ask me whatever. I'm game.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time for this episode, actually. And we're really honored by your presence.
Well, the honor is mine. So if there and I'd rather than me talking about myself, if you whatever questions you or your followers have on Trident, you can ask, and I will try to answer everything, including my journey and where I am today and what I've been trying to do.
All right. So, sir, first of all, welcome to our show. And shooting with our questions, the very first question is that you started your career in theater. So, what got you into acting the first time that you realized that you could actually get into it?
See, I went to a school which was, really very encouraging and educating regarding all crafts and arts. Okay. Whether it is elocution, jams, quizzes, mono acting, speech, drama, understanding of music, understanding of the arts. So Jamnabai Nursery School, which I belong to, has produced a lot of people from cinema. Okay. But my inclination at that time was never so much towards cinema because I was an outsider. I didn't belong to a film family. B, my mother was the head of the Department of Hindi in Bombay University, and so the kind of people who used to come to my house were great eminent writers and literature people from theatre. Professor Vasant Dev and Vijay Tendulkar and Harivansh Rai Bachchan and Harindranath Chattopadhyay, Pandit Narendra Sharma, Dr. Rahim Masoom Raza, Amritlal Nagar. So these are the people. So got a lot interested in literature, in theatre, and we had a very strong theatre group. Prithvi Theatre had just really started, so I became part of the Little Prithvi Players. Did all the annual day plays in Hindi and English. Got encouraged, and then unfortunately or fortunately, I had great marks. And during the time when, of course, now your generation and people, you all have so many opportunities, but at that time, either if you're in the art stream, then people would say that either you're not academically sound or you have nothing else to do. That's why you take arts. And people would take science because there was either the choice of becoming an engineer or a doctor. And people would take commerce. At the end of the day, they would say, okay, I'd like to become a chartered accountant or a company secretary. And after that, of course, the only other option that people had was, doing an MBA or a master's in management studies. So theatre was a passion, and how I got into theatre is when I started seeing a lot of professional performances, watching people like Raghuveer Yadav and Pankaj Kapoor and Nasiruddin Shah and Om Puri and Surekha Sikri and Neena Gupta and Rajendra Gupta, watching the great Alec Padamsee on stage and Kabir Bedi and Tom Alter. So these are the people, and also a lot of being in Mumbai, you get exposed to a lot of other languages also. So a lot of Marathi theatre I saw, a lot of Gujarati theatre I saw. And so that magic of being on theatre, on stage, is something that really, was it was mesmerizing. The entire process of being somebody else, preparing for a role, getting instant accolades. Okay. So this was something, and I continued doing that on a semi-professional level in the 11th and 12th also. And again, unfortunately, I got damn good marks. I was a merit list holder in HSC. That time we had PCB and PCM, so I had a 90 percentile both in physics, chemistry, maths, and also in physics, chemistry, biology. And but then I went to an engineering college. the DY Patil, it's very famous now for the DY Patil Stadium. So the Ramrao Adik Institute of Technology was the premier engineering institute, but it was so out of Bombay that, getting to, because some people are very lucky. Some people are lucky for the simple reason that their colleges are in Mumbai, proper Mumbai. Like people who are in Delhi or in Delhi University, North Campus or South Campus, close to NSD, so they have an access to watching plays in Mandi House and stuff. So, but this, it was crazy because my heart was not in my engineering. Even when I was in college, I was the general secretary of the college. I was the cultural secretary also. I organized New Bombay's first intercollegiate festival, Horizon, which is really huge. Traveled all over the country, and we were a two-member contingent at that time. The famous, legendary Shankar Mahadevan and myself. So me, Shankar was my senior, so he would win all the singing and the music events, and I would win all the mono acting and the elocution and the theater events and the creative writing events. That continued, and the love for theater grew. I started doing professional theater with Firoz Abbas Khan, who's directed Gandhi, my father, who had also directed me in school. I started working with Om Katare. I started working with Iqbal Khwaja's group over here. Did a lot of stuff with Pandit Satyadev Dubey. And then, of course, my parents were very anti it. They said that, this is a great hobby and you're an engineer, so you shouldn't be doing all this. So I left for Delhi to give up acting. But unfortunately, in Delhi, because Delhi, Mandi House, it's a great center for learning and for exposure to theater. Some people who had seen my work in Mumbai as an actor, when I'd done plays with Firoz and with Iqbal Khwaja and, with Om Katare, with Little Prithvi players, they traced me. That's the time they didn't have mobile. So they traced my landline, and I did my first play in Delhi with Amir Raza Hussain. And of course, the bug again hit me. I was working in Delhi in a multinational, worked with Jannatam Manch, worked with Yatrik, and my life changed when I joined Mr. Ibrahim Alkazi's Living Theatre of Drama. And Mr. Alkazi is the founder director of the National School of Drama, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan. He's the person who has trained people like Sai Paranjpe and Om Puri and Pankaj Kapoor and Nasiruddin Shah and Surekha Sikri and Ranjit Kapoor. And I mean, you name the great actors that we have in this country, directors like Sai Paranjpe, worked with Vidya Mehta. So working with Mr. Alkazi for 2.5 years really honed my skills. And that's the time when I decided, now I can't, But theater is something that really doesn't pay you in this country. It can't be taken as a profession, especially when you're doing Hindi or English theater. In Maharashtra and Gujarat, Marathi and Gujarati has a very strong commercial theater base because they have a big tradition. But for actors who work in English and Hindi primarily, theater can't give them money unless you're part of the NSD repertory, which gives you a certain stipend or a certain money. We have repertory companies over here, but we don't have the kind of repertory companies that people. So that's why television became an option, and I was lucky to, to audition for India's first daily soap, Shanti, and the character became popular. The show became popular. I was lucky that I won all the awards in the first 2 years: best debut, best supporting actor, then best actor. And then, of course, the journey started, and I kept my theater roots alive, and I still do a lot of theater because the magic of theater is something that attracts me even now. And of course, television led to films, then voiceovers and ads, and now web series. And so I've just been at it for the last 25, 26 years, active on Touchwood on all forums. I am now recording for Audible. I'm also recording for Spotify, these podcasts and these audio casts, and I'm working on the web, I'm working on films, I'm working in television, I'm working in theater. And my connection with theater is the one that has kept me alive as an actor, because मेरे machine को अभी तक जंग नहीं लगी because of my connection with theater. So that is what my journey is. And so since March 95, I became a full-time actor. उससे पहले job भी करता था, Shanti भी करता था, theater भी करता था. But if you sail in two boats, you'll never be able to swim. And this is what Mr. Alkazi, my guru, told me. So finally, I dumped everything. I started Shanti in 1994. Some other shows had also started in early 95, but March 95 is when I actually quit my job and took the big plunge into this insecure but wonderful profession. And here I am talking to you.
That's a really long and nice journey. But talking about your first break, like, was it easy or like there was a lot of struggle involved?
See, the time when we started, no, I really didn't know how to go about it because I was not from a filmy family. I was not from modeling. Uh, Whatever we did in theater didn't require you to have a portfolio or a set of photographs. You would audition, you would do a workshop, and you'd get selected for a play for a small part or a big part. The problem was that how to get a portfolio done. Right now, people click their photographs on their 4K cameras, their iPhones or their Samsungs, and do Photoshop and send it to casting directors. During our time, every photograph would cost 8 rupees to develop, hard copy. We didn't have mobiles. Pages also had not come in. Sort of damn difficult at that time. I was very lucky because when Shanti was being cast, my dear friend Anurag Kashyap, who I used to do theater with in Jannat Manch, and Rajesh Jais, who's from the NSD, and Jitu Shastri, they met me at Prithvi because Govind Nilhani and David Dhawan rejected me on the same day. Govind Nilhani said, I work with real faces. He showed me faces of, Om Puri. You want faces like that. I, of course, lost my hair now, or I maintained this bald look, but that's the time when I was a typical young Punjabi londa lagta tha. So David Dhawan told me on the same day, and I had gone with strong recommendations from seniors from the FTI. David ji told me I only work with stars. So I called up Mr. Alkazi. I said, sir, I think I made the biggest mistake of leaving your repertory. I'm coming back. So I booked a Rajdhani AC 3-tier ticket and I went to Prithvi, and Anurag told me, Amit, Shanti people have seen your work in Delhi, and their main director Partho Mitra has really liked what you did in theater, because I did some phenomenal good work in Delhi, fighting against all odds, against my employers, against my family. जिस चीज को छोड़ने गया था दिल्ली, वो मेरा पैशन बन गया. So I went and auditioned. And I knew I will not get the part because I had bunked my office and gone there. So I had to go in a very formal shirt and trouser, and my tie was dangling with my briefcase. So I looked more like a medical representative rather than an actor when I reached there. And all these guys with their tight jeans and the shirts and everybody, everybody going the lines. But there is something about being a trained actor and the magic of, auditioning. So the moment the camera rolled, it was a great audition. Next day, I got a call saying that you're on. And I was told it's a 4-episode part. And that 4-episode part, I don't know how the audience loved it. Instead of 4 episodes, finally, man, I did 786 episodes. And I was a side character. I became the lead part. So people still remember Mandira and me because of this. Mandira Bedi and me, people, they still remember us because of Shanti and my character Vijay. But I'd say after having success in Shanti, then signing other shows, there has been a up and down and a struggle in my life. And this is not only this is the journey of every actor. We all know that the big daddy of acting, जिसको हम मतलब भीष्म पितामह बोलते हैं एक्टिंग की, Shri Amitabh Bachchan, he faced such a big lull on the verge of bankruptcy, but he came back. We've seen that happening to a lot of people. Neena Gupta had posted on social media some 6 years ago that I'm looking for work, and Neena ji is back. She's got the national award. She's got the Filmfare. After Badaiyuh, things changed. So this journey that I have faced, or the struggle that I have gone through, a lot of my seniors, juniors, and my contemporaries have gone through. That's the joy and that's the stress about being in this profession. So it keeps you alive all the time. You cannot be resting and be complacent.
That's totally true. But now that you shared about this journey of struggle, so since you already had an engineering and management background, so during the struggle days, did you ever feel like, okay, this is not something I'm supposed to do, I should just go back to corporate? Did that happen?
Every second day. every second day. Or rather than me thinking about it, my parents would tell me कि अब काम नहीं है तेरे पास, regular काम नहीं है, देख लोग सब लोग ऑफिस जाते हैं in the morning, okay, when you are not shooting, you're at home, okay, but our system became different when people were going to office, and I was taking my car and going to the gym, because to keep your body intact is a very important part of being an actor, okay. So either I'm going to the gym, or I'm going to audition, or meet some producers, or work on scripts, or go watch a play. So this is part of an actor's process. But जैसे होता था कि 15-20 days if I've not shot and there's been a long time, so parents would say, what are you doing here? And I really thought, you'll be surprised that I did in fact send my resumes to 2-3 corporate houses when I had less work. So what became difficult, the moment I would sit in the interview room with other people wearing my tie and all that, everybody would recognize you. So what are you doing here? As a BE MBA, but when you're sitting in the interview room of a corporate office, so the receptionist and the other people sitting there recognize you. So what are you doing here? So it became very embarrassing when I've come here for a job, So they'd be surprised. Also, the second thing was that twice it has happened to me. I got selected by 2 corporates for a very, very important job, management jobs. And the day my orientation or my induction, that you have a 1-month induction or orientation program, just then orientation start twice it has happened, I've got a new role. So I had to drop out of that. So after that, I've decided, no, this is part and parcel of a journey. There are days when I'm going to have a lot of work, and there are days when I won't have work. And so now it's 25 years. I don't think more than 25 years. So 94 to, we're talking about 2021. You're talking about 27 years. So 27 years where, I've also passed my prime. I started when I was really young. Okay. And now, of course, so I don't think I can ever now think of doing anything else. Yes, of course, I teach. I am a creative producer of quite a few films and projects, and then I design projects for people. That's an added qualification or an added job that I've taken for myself because I enjoy it. Apart from being a pure actor, luckily my engineering and corporate and MBA knowledge helps me in all that, to put things in a good perspective. And you also feel proud that as an educated actor, people take you seriously when you start talking, because there's a big, overall there's a impression and a perception that actors and people of this kind are A, uneducated, B, unintelligent. They come from very sad backgrounds. They have nothing else to do. It's a glamorous industry. So luckily, I have been able to, not only me, people like me or Madhavan or Sachin Kerekar or directors like Mani Ratnam or Ram Gopal, who are trained and, they are qualified. Nitesh Tiwari, who directed Dangal, is an IITian. Okay. Mansoor Khan is an IITian. So there are intelligent, educated people in this industry, and that's why they make these kind of films. That's why, touchwood, whatever performances I've done, there have been a certain sensibility to the performance. I've been able to decide whether this is good or bad. So I don't take anything which is crappy. And that's where my education helps me.
All right. So the first daily soap, that was Shanti, and after that you have done around and over 100 TV serials in Hindi, English, Marathi, Punjabi, and Urdu. So, like, what kind of difficulties come in when you're doing so many languages at the same time?
See, Urdu and Hindi come very naturally to me. Okay. Punjabi is my mother tongue. I have done a lot of English theatre. And while speaking to me, you can understand that I have a semi-decent command on the English language. Okay. I grew up in Maharashtra. So my Marathi is very fluent because I have a lot of friends from Marathi theatre and my wife is Maharashtrian. Also, I lived in a Gujarati neighborhood and I was able to do, although I'm not very fluent with Gujarati, but I can pick it up. I have done a Gujarati film and now I've gone and done a Telugu film also. Okay, so it's, I think you just have to work slightly harder to get this done. I've done a Punjabi film also. Because Punjabi is my mother tongue. So I've done 2 Punjabi films, in fact. And I'm looking forward to doing a Tamil film. I'm looking forward to doing a Kannada film, a Malayalam film. I'm looking forward to doing a Bengali film. I'm looking forward to doing a Rajasthani, Chhattisgarhi. I'd like to do films in all languages because we are a vast country, and it's a great challenge to learn new languages, work hard, and so it's just that I do a lot of Urdu theatre because I do a lot of plays which have been written by Gulzar Sahib, which Salim Arif sir directs. So then Mr. Al-Qazi ke saath I did a lot of Urdu theatre. I don't write the Urdu script, but I understand Urdu, the talaffuz and the language and the leza. So it's been not very tough for me. I mean, I've sailed through it.
All right, that's great. So, when you have done a lot of TV serials and you have played a lot of characters, so it's very difficult to remember each and every one very, in very specific details. But there are some characters which get attached to us like for a really long time and they turn out to be really special for us. So, which character would be that in your case?
See, I will never forget Shanti because it gave me the name, the accolades, the awards, and 3.5 years I did a lot of variety of shades in that character. So now Shanti was on air on 15th of August 1994. So from 1994, we're talking about 2021. People still remember that character. I did a show on Star Plus called Kora Kagas, which Asha Parekh directed. This is before the Sazbau show started. So that was 96, 97, 98, 99, beginning of 2000. That's a character I really liked. It had grey shades. I loved playing Amatya Rakshas in Ashoka. I really liked my last show, which I did on Z with Riddhi Dogra and Disha Parmar called Wo Apna Sa, where it was a very positive character, but it became negative and I got the awards for it. I loved doing Delhi's on Star Plus. I enjoyed doing Ek Hasina Thi on Star Plus. One of my shows, which is on Epic, which was early on Netflix, is a show called Dharm Kshetra, where I played Dronacharya, and people still like it. And I've just finished a Marathi serial where I spoke Urdu because I was playing Aurangzeb in that. It was called Swarajya Rakshak Sambhaji, which had the highest rating, and I got the opportunity to play Aurangzeb from the age of 38 till the age of 90. So great satisfaction, for about 3.5 years to do that. I loved my small but very important part in a film that I did with Hrithik Roshan and Farhan Akhtar called Laksh. I liked what I did in Beja Fry too. I liked what I did in LOC Kargil. I also did another film which is I think on Amazon or which is called Tum Milo To Sahi with Nana Patekar, Sunil Shetty, Dimple Kapadia. Another film of mine which is on Amazon called Golu Papu with Kunal Roy Kapoor and Veer Das and Karishma Tanna, Sandeep Badar. It was a very nice, funny, interesting role. I've been fortunate. I got to play Tabu's husband in Hawa. I got to play Priyanka Chopra's fiance in Kismet. So, I've been I've enjoyed almost every part. Of course, I've done some really shoddy work also because I needed the money, or B, I did it for a favor for a friend. And but it's all right. I mean, I've taken those with a pinch of salt. But I'm pretty proud of most of the stuff that I've done. But I also feel that yes, I have a long way to go, and I realized when Amrish Puri got his first big break and he became the star at the after 50 plus. So I'm also waiting for people to give me that opportunity to attack cinema in that way. And now that the web series are here, actors like me, lots of actors who have done a lot of work on TV because now they're getting re-recognized on the web, on OTT platforms, thanks to all the new platforms. So in fact, in the next 1 month, I'm shooting for some very interesting projects for MX Player, for Hotstar, and something for Netflix, and something for Hangama Play. So these are exciting things. I've got a new show coming on. Hangama Play is coming with Ada Khan, Nishan Malkani, Manini Day. It's called Shubh Mangal Mein Dangal, which was a nice comedy that we've done. We just finished shooting it, and it's Hangama Play is pretty excited that they feel that they'll be able to create a dent in the OTT market with this show, and so I'm very kicked about. In fact, I get kicked about whatever work I do, because otherwise I'll be dishonest to every. I mean, when somebody casts you, they cast you because they believe that you're an honest actor, and when somebody instills that kind of confidence in you, you want to give it back to them. That's it.
All right. So you have worked in theater, in movies. You have also anchored and worked as a voice actor and also on TV. So now that you have worked in almost each and every field, including web series as well. So the question is, which one have you enjoyed the most? Like, which one has been a really kicking experience?
See, I'll tell you, theater gives an actor the biggest joy, because you prepare, you have time, you rehearse for a play, you build an equation with all your co-actors and the director, and then you're in the process. Then you open the show. When you open the show, there's an opening night and there's an audience. There is nervousness. Next day, again, you're performing the same play, but the audience is different. Your co-actor's emotions could be different. Somebody could have had a fight with his wife at home and he's not able to deliver. Okay. You could be in a different emotional space. The immediate reaction from the audience, the toughness of you are not able to get a retake or anything edited, it's all live. Okay. I mean, why do people go to a U2 concert or a Justin Bieber concert? The same thing you can watch in the comfort of your home and see it on TV, on MTV or whatever, right? But a live concert, so live play. But unfortunately, people who do live concerts get a lot of money. So theater doesn't have money. After theater, if you ask me which has been the most satisfying, is obviously cinema. Okay. And I have been very fortunate to be part of television's golden period, when there was good content, good writers, good co-actors, good directors, who have now slowly moved away towards OTT or towards cinema. So, and I feel the OTT and web series is a perfect, an adjusting factor between cinema and television. So, OTT or web series are mini films. So that's why when you shoot for a web series, you feel you're actually shooting for a big film. Okay. And web series have now, but TV has given 99% of all actors their cars and their houses and their EMIs. So television for economics has been very important for me. Satisfying as an actor, theater. But when you talk about longevity, immortality, which every actor looks at. So immortality is web and cinema. Because television का episode आता है और चले जाता है. Web stays. People will still go back and watch an Inside Edge or a Patal Lok or a Panchayat. They will not do show with TV serials. So the repeat value, shelf value of web and cinema is much more than television.
That's true. So in this long journey, you always need a supporting pillar by your side when, especially when you are in an industry like this. So who has been your support and inspiration in your journey?
See, my inspiration has been all those big actors and actresses that I saw in theater and cinema. They've always been, people like Balraj Sani and Sanjeev Kumar and Nasiruddin Shah and Om Puri and Kamal Hassan and Rajnikant and Mr. Bachchan, Farida Jalal, Surekha Sikri, Amrish Puri. But if you talk about my support system, I'll definitely say my wife, because she was a Miss India finalist. She was an actor. We met on a show together. She has stood by me with my highs and lows, and she's also my biggest critic. She's not acting for the last 5-6 years because we have a son and she wants to take care, and she'll return back to acting. So she's been so supportive that she's taken a backseat in her career. She also understands my insecurities because she herself has been an actor. And I've had some wonderful friends in the industry who've been very big support. The late Narendra Jha, who passed away, actor, he was a great support. My friend, actor, director Kabir Sadanand has been a great support. Sanjeev Chadda and Rajat Vyas, and a lot of these people who keep on repeating me because they understand that this man is versatile and professional. And they also have understood when I've gone through my personal lows, and they've always stood by me. But my wife definitely, my in-laws, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-laws, they've seen me. They During the pandemic, they knew that our industry is shut. 10 months of no work. Uh, Budgets have been slashed. What do you do? They also see me uh, because I am the general secretary of the Cine and TV Artists Association, CINTA. So they see me handling the problems and the issues and the highs and lows and economics and frustrations and anxieties of fellow actors, not realizing that I was also going through the same because I am also an actor.
All right. So, as you said, that she has been there through all the highs and lows. So, that reminds me of ups and downs as well, since they are like a constant part of life. So, when you have your ups and downs, how do you deal with them?
Earlier, I used to get very stressed, but now I've taken it with a pinch of salt that I know that this will happen. You just have to save some money for a rainy day, maintain your mental balance and physical balance, so that uh, this is a tough time. This is like preparing for war. It's like, how do I tell you? It's the same anxiety and nervousness when a sports person is preparing for an Olympic or a national meet. Are you going to get selected or not get selected? Are we actually, or for a soldier, will the enemy attack us? Will we be going to Kargil? Will we be going to Dras? इसके बाद क्या होगा? The calm before the storm. So I treat it like that. Oh, it's a low phase, no problem. Let's maybe rehearse a play. Let's read a book. Let's work out more. De-stress by cooking, farming, taking a long walk or a hike, uh, catching up with friends and colleagues who are like-minded. Okay, so that you don't, because loneliness can kill you when you're not working. And maybe people have called you for a meeting, audition. These are all preparation things. Because when you're shooting a television show, and if you have a big part, that means 20 to 22 days in a month, you are shooting for about 13 hours, which means you have no time for anybody, including yourself. So that's the time also you meet your CA, you meet your auditor, you meet your lawyer, you see negotiate contracts. So, and then of course, a show comes in or a film comes in, and I think all actors deal it with the same way.
All right. So, talking about all these long journeys and everything that has happened so far, is there an unforgettable moment or event that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, unforgettable moment. I'd say many moments wherein I've had the late Dilip Kumar coming up and walking to me and telling me in Punjabi कि तू कितना अच्छा काम करता है यार मैं कोरा कागज देखना और बट तू रेणुका शाहने को क्यों छड़ के चला गया and he says this in front of about 100 people. So that's a crazy compliment. You know, that's a high. I just finished shooting Kashmir Files with Mithun Chakrabarti. He was a national award winner. So after I finished shooting with him, I went to shake hands with him, and it's an honor. And he stood up and he says, "No, Mr. Bell, it's an honor for me to work with you." So I was taken aback, and he meant it genuinely. So these are the things that give you rebuild your confidence. You think you need to do better work. And of course, when you receive awards, they are people say that we don't believe in awards. I do believe in awards. So these awards are also a semblance of recognition for the work that you've done. And also I like it when big actors and big stars who walk up to you on a set and they recognize your work and they come and shake hands with you. So you feel, okay, you've done something. Yeah. And especially in films, all the big film stars, they're so humble and grounded. Okay. Which is something that I don't see many time in television because television, lead actors don't realize that when show goes off air, people only remember them by their character names. Okay. So film is, there's Ranbir Kapoor or there's Ranveer Singh or Jackie Shroff or Shah Rukh Khan or Ajay Devgan. They would walk, hi, my name is Shah Rukh, my name is Anil Kapoor. And we've seen your work. I was just shooting for Durgamati with Bhumi Petnikar, and she comes up to me and says, Amit sir, my mother was a big fan of you from Shanti. She didn't have to do it. So these are, as an actor, you live for these things. These things make you really, really happy.
So that's really true because motivation is required. And when you get recognition for something that you have been doing, so what else would be a greater motivation? And talking about motivation, there are days when you need to motivate yourself or encourage yourself. So, how do you do it? What is your personal life mantra?
First of all, I have found a lot of ways to de-stress and disconnect. If I have to keep myself motivated, I need to find inspiration in whatever work that I'm doing or a new meaning. Many a time when you're doing a television show for about a year, you get really badly demotivated because the same script, same everything. But you can't help it because these guys have to churn out content, 5 to 6 days a week of about 25 minutes of content every day. Kabhi kabhar you're doing a bad scene, doesn't make any sense, but you're still doing it because you have become a habit for the audience. The character has become part of you. Uh, Many a times when you get rejected, okay, so I've always felt that if somebody is rejecting me for a particular part or an audition, it is their loss, their misfortune, not mine. You did not have the foresight or the intelligence or the maturity to understand my talent. That's why I'm not part of your project. Thirdly, I always appreciate people who are doing great work and who are more successful than me. Okay, so that I don't feel frustrated as a performer and it should not reflect in my day-to-day interaction with my friends, colleagues, audience. So this is how I keep myself motivated.
All right. So, sir, now that we are heading towards the end of today's episode, and the World Humanitarian Foundation is our associated partner, and the work towards women empowerment. So, what are your views about women around the world?
So I am one of the biggest proponents of working to with the National Commission for Children and for Women and Child Welfare. I was one of the front runners in the Me Too movement that India started. Okay, I believe women empowerment is very important. Women around the world are working very hard. I have a lot of colleagues in America and the UK, people who work in SAG-AFTRA and Equity, and uh, you see, when we talk about the Olympics, when we talk about the women's hockey team, we talk about the women's cricket team, we talk about Indian women being pilots. So there is, because maybe I come from a background where my father and mother had great mutual respect for each other. I also come from a family, my in-laws are also on the same level. I have about 7,000 lady members of Sinta, so I have to interact with them daily, and a lot of people in our committee also. So women empowerment, treat people being sexist, talking to women and dealing with them as if they are the inferior sex or that they are not worth it. I find that the most sickening thing. But unfortunately, that's the ways of the world. When I hear about what is happening in countries like South Africa or what is happening in many Middle Eastern countries, it hurts you. Okay. But there's only that much that we can do. But a collective international raising of a creative voice is very, very important. And only thing is that, what do you mean by women empowerment? They're equals. Okay. The point is when you use the word women empowerment, you have already decided that they're inferior. Okay. When you talk about let's do something about the LGBTQ community, you've already made them separate. The human race was created by God. We are all God's beings. Your priorities, sensibilities, biologically how you are, mentally how you are is an individual thing. as long as you're not evil, as long as you don't mean ill about somebody, as long as you don't look at stealing somebody's anything. So that's the reason I always believe that this is the way, women empowerment should be given a different name and a different strategy so that it reaches where it is supposed to reach.
That's really nice of a thought, because I don't really see a lot of people coming up with that thought. People are always like, let's do something for women empowerment. And that is something that I personally think that when you are saying that you need to do something, you're already putting them down. So yeah, that's something I really like. And like, this is going to be the last question. So since the name of our show is Success Stories, if you had to define success, what would be the definition?
If you're at peace with yourself, okay, and if you can appreciate other people's success, that's a success story.
That's true, and that's actually a really good advice out there for everyone to understand the actual meaning of success. So, sir, before we leave this episode and we come to an end, is there one last message that you would like to give to the viewers?
See, I think you all have your audience is across the world, is across the globe, right? It's been a bad time in the last 1.5 years. We don't know the third wave, the repercussions. It's just that we need to keep ourselves sane, spread positivity, look out for avenues to make the world a more healthier place, look for opportunities wherein people from all walks of life economically also benefit. And the governments should take some amount of inspiration and sense from the creative industry. Okay. And the creative industry will always spread a message which is never going to be derogatory at the end of it, because there is always a silver lining at the end of the cloud. If that happens, I think spreading the message of love and compassion and equality is very important. And we need to do that, all of us.
Thank you, sir, for such a lovely message for the viewers. And thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of Success Stories.
Most welcome. All right.
And thank you so much, everyone, for joining with us on this episode of Success Stories. And if such stories are interesting for you, then please subscribe to our channel so you do not miss out on any notification. We air a new episode every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So until the next one airs up, just stay safe, take care, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.